Today is November 18th, 2023, 7:30 a.m. New York time. This is probably my 50th attempt to record this video on YFI. And what I'm realizing now is that it is extremely difficult to explain something in a simple form. And after trying this for just a little bit over a week, I have great respect and appreciation for all the people who actually make videos. And I think that it's by watching all of the guys and girls who are good right now, hearing them say that the worst video will be the first one that you make. This is my number 16, and yet it is the most difficult one. So with all the respect and appreciation for those who've done this before me, then I realized that I will not be able to do it just by talking through this, because I followed this token for more than 2 years, and then now I'm trying to say everything at once and it's not actually working. So I am going to show you what I see that happened in the last 8 days, and that way you'll know next time. So we'll recap the week on the coin, then we'll compare the YFI to Bitcoin, then we'll take a look at the whole picture. We'll mark support, major support and resistance areas, and we'll check one more indicator just to see if we're getting any confluence. So recap, it all started last Thursday, November the 9th, when YFI actually traded and closed above its long-term resistance area that lasted for more than 100 days. We opened at around 6,000, and in the next 8 days ran up almost 10,000 points. Traded as high as 15,995 with our closing high at 14,500. And that was last night on Friday, November the 17th. Our next stop is to take a look and see how YFI is doing relative to Bitcoin, which is up 106% based on the numbers that we looked up on November 1st, and Aave, which is a better comparison to YFI, and it was up 54%. So if we look at this picture, we can say that YFI is definitely relatively weak. So let's mark it red. And based on what we're seeing here, there is no reason to expect any rally. Now, if we take a look at year to date, just remove this run up. Here we're seeing the beginning of the year, January 1st until November 5th, it was up only 17% for the year compared to 106 and 54% Aave. We see that at the beginning of the year, YFI started off really well, running up 120% in just the first 3 months. But then it successfully gave back all its gains, plus a little bit more. After having one rally on those lows, rallying a little bit over 50%, YFI sold off, made new lows, and remained in a really tight trading range until last week. So basically, it's a relatively weak coin that started really strong at the beginning of the year. Then it sold off, made new lows, stayed in the negative territory. And when the whole market rallied, when all the crypto rallied, YFI failed to join that rally, which lasted this whole past year, really accelerating in the past 3 months. So now here we are at the end of the year, looking at this depressed token and thinking, how could it do this in the next few days? I think this is an excellent picture to talk about the fact that anything is possible in the market. A limited amount of buyers or sellers could come in anything and sell it and buy it past any levels. Now here we're looking at YFI that is definitely weak. Now I'm going to expand this picture so we can include this week. Boom. It does nothing from August the 17th until November the 9th, while everything is rallying, and then it explodes 132% just in 8 days. So let's now take a look at a bigger picture. I'm going to remove all the drawings that we had before so we can see it better. Okay, this is a weekly picture of YFI. We made an all-time high back on May 10th of 2021. The highest that it's traded, it was $95,000 per token. And then we sold off 95%. Now imagine if this thing was a spring and the price dropped from 95,000 down to 5,000. Imagine all the weight piling down every 1,000, every 100 until it gets into this area down here where it flattens out. It's like a huge weight that is sitting and keeping it here. And as further it goes in time, more pressure you need, but you cannot compress it anymore. Imagine all this way, pushing down here. And imagine what would happen if at some point all that weight was released. It just disappears, and we have this natural pop. So when you're looking at the scoreboard and you see that YFI is up 50%, 100%, whatever it is, just look at the big picture, and then you will see relatively how much further it needs to travel from where it was after its monster run up into Friday. It will need more than 900% to go back up to its all-time high. And that relatively, this little level here is nothing compared to the amount it traveled before. So one of the things that you never want to do is you never want to jump in and start shorting something because it's up on the day 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 points. You need to see the history and you need to see where it came from to be able to make any decisions. But I hope you can see that this rise that looked so impressive is actually just a little part of the whole move. It doesn't even fit into my screen. Okay. So after we establish that there is a lot more room to go, we need to go back and see. Let's go mark our major support and resistance areas while we're here, because if we don't, we'll have to come back here. So horizontal ray, okay, area number 1, area number 2, area number 3. And down below we have one more level right here. So this is basically on our weekly, our major levels that can be seen on the weekly chart. Now after I mark these areas, I can go down to the daily. So have some kind of idea where the levels are because we marked them on the weekly. Now the levels that we put in, they're nothing but the reference. And the reference to where the sellers were last time we were here in this price area. So if you look back here, the sellers were able to push it down right here. And the same thing is here. We rallied into this price, then the sellers came in and they pushed it down. From here, they pushed it down here. From here, they pushed it down here. From here, they pushed it down here. Now we sat here in this box for 180 days. And after that, we started rallying. Now we're watching if the sellers that sold it from here to here will come in and do the same thing. By the way, we can add one more on the daily. We could not see this. We could not see this area on the weekly, but we can clearly see this on the daily. When there was a rally, the sellers came in and they actually pushed it into the low, into our lows area, which is significant low. Now this area, this upper area of 7,500 was our resistance from which we made a lower low or tested our lows. After that, the price was compressed and it could not move anywhere, breaking above into upper portion here in the end of October, and then taking off here in the last 8 days. Okay, so let's say we're here, okay? We marked all these levels and we're just watching, boom. So once the price broke out, it blew through our first resistance, second resistance, and even the third resistance. And if you can see here, this was the place where they found liquidity that they needed, or the actual buy orders. Let's go in a lower time frame and see if we got any kind of structure up at the top, because if we look at daily, here's our Friday closing, and then boom, we fall down. No warning, nothing. 4 hour, okay. So 4 hour looks kind of more interesting, because if you see, this is where we break out from our long-term range. We run to close to 9,000. It doesn't really pull back, it doesn't really rally or pull back. It just consolidates its accumulation area, and here it starts squeezing. Then we squeeze, we have some volatility, and we squeeze higher, and here's a run. Now, when we get to this area, you can say that this is consolidating like it was if we look down below. It should look like this, or at worst, it should look like this. And then we should resume our trend. In this case, it doesn't happen. So if we expand it into, let's go into hourly. Okay, if we look at this thing on the hourly, here's our low, here's our high, and here is our first break of this low, first lower low. In this whole run, for the past 8 days, we did not have one lower low until we got to this area. If you look at this area, this was our long-term major sell supply area. That area, after running up 140%, it found sellers, gave back all that gain, and dropped below. where it started. And if we look in here again, go into hourly, here is that area. You can see the dash right here. We go just above, make a higher high, and break down, and we break that low that was set after the price traded above this major price area. So our exit would have been stop below this area because this thing is so volatile and it ran up so much. You're out below 13,000. And again, just to make sure that this whole nonsense makes some kind of sense, let's go back to the beginning and recap it one more time. YFI used to be a really expensive token that traded some time ago at $95,000 per token. Then, when the good times ended, it proceeded to sell off 95%, looking at 39,000, 25,000, and the little area down at 15,000. From all of those areas, the token sold off significantly, and we marked it as a blue dotted line on our chart. At YFI on the daily, we can definitely see that area coming into play. When we took off, the coin ran through 1, 2, 3 areas, but then it lost momentum around 14,000 area where we had our previous sales supply area. Once we looked at it on hourly, we realized sold off, it put this significant low in here. It's trading now about 4,000 lower from where our stop was. And again, I hope this is how you can see that tying weekly into daily into hourly can give you a better understanding of what and where levels are and how you can trade around. But in any case, I just want to say that by no means this was an exceptional week. It's normal, for these tokens, it's normal. Yes, it takes time to wait, but what else do you have to do as a trader? That's the only thing that you do is you wait and you find highest probabilities and then you take trades. And if it's working and going in your direction, you wait longer. You wait when the winners are in your account, and when you cash out, you're waiting for the next opportunity. And I really hope that by looking at this long video, you will get the point that it's not just what's happening right now. And this is not what's happening this week. And it's not what happened today. This is happening all the time. It just happens with different tokens, different securities, different indexes. It just rotates. And if you find your game plan and you create your watch list, then you'll have an idea on what's going on. And every day, every week, you check and you update this information. And then at some point in time, you will have a great idea on why things like this happen. And really after watching this thing for more than 2 years, it took me a really long time just to share with you what I just shared with you. I hope that you can put it to use, and I hope that you can see that this game is played on any time frame. You can day trade and look at the minute by minute charts, or you can look at charts that are weekly and see that things move hundreds and thousands of points. And then you need to find the ones that fit your personality. These big moves and long waits, they fit my personality. You may, anyways.